Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So, before we dive into today's episode, which is having a really fun, light kiki on all things Bravo, so be sure to drop any questions you have or requests you have for any, highlights you want to talk about, any shows, any gossip, any tea, and I will see if I can cover it in real time. Okay. But we will definitely be covering Carlos King and Mariah Huck. We'll be talking about Vanderpump Rules, and we'll also be covering some ROA news along with Real Housewives of Miami. So if you have any questions, you have any comments, drop them in the comment section. Put down your candy canes. Where are you watching from? Are you sick of Bravo? Are you not sick of Bravo? What's good? Put it down below. Let's just have a really fun vibe and a fun chat. So before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's go. So first, I want to shout out some candy cane questions. So I put it in the community tab, what you wanted me to cover today. So shout out to Anna Grape. She said Roa recast. Candy leaving, Portia and Kenya reportedly staying. Who do you want to see on the show? What kind of dynamic for Roa would make more people watch? So that was Anna Grape. Shout out to Tay Tay the Savior, 123. Wants to talk about the new housewives for Salt Lake City, Vanderpump Rules, Miami, Beverly Hills, Rohop, Summer House. Okay. So we will get into the Roa recast. And then for the new Housewives of Salt Lake City, we covered that. So I'm going to link that down below in the description box. We're going to go over Vanderpump Rules and Miami. Beverly Hills, we will do on Thursday. And then Potomac, I'm not watching. And Summer House comes out in a couple of weeks. So with that, let's get started. 1 second, you guys. I have a phone that's going nuts. So like, subscribe, and share, and I'll be right back. And we're back. So, with that, let's dive right on in. So, let's talk about Carlos King and Mariah Huck. So, as you guys know, he just did a 2-part expose, interview, whatever you want to call it, with Mariah Huck, who, as we all know, was the creator and the executive producer of Married to Medicine. So everyone's talking about the tea she spilled and, all of that stuff. But I think what was really missed was her 8 power principles that she really shared on becoming a boss in the space, particularly in entertainment, whether it's reality TV or television production in general. So, yeah, I'm going to get into the tea that she spilled, but I also want to break down how she really gave us a blueprint. So, I'm going to break down the 8 power principles. She gave us more, but I'm going to break down my top 8. So, number 1, the power of your position as the HBIC. So, the first thing Mariah did when Carlos came into her event space, so in case you guys haven't watched, she has like a production studio where people can come and they can create content, podcast, videos, or just like a workspace, like a WeWork, where you can come and, get your coffee, have your laptop, do your work. So she's really created this sort of like workspace / production studios that people can come and they can book out to produce content or to get work done. I think it's a brilliant idea. It's really, really cool. And so that is where they met. But the first thing she did when Carlos came in was she made it clear that there were levels to this. So she kind of called out Carlos for giving flowers to all of the girls. So I love Carlos King. Shout out to Carlos King. I think he's fantastic. I think he's wonderful. And obviously I love Mariah, but she does make a valid point. If you give flowers to everyone, then you really give flowers to no one. And this is kind of in juxtaposition to Andy Cohen. So Andy Cohen has his favorites. It's very clear. He gives them special treatment. It's obvious. And he kind of shades and is kind of really not cool with, people who aren't his favorites. And it's very, very obvious. And again, it's kind of unprofessional because the position that he holds, at least publicly, he should be unbiased in a professional way because of the position that he holds. Whereas Carlos King kind of gives flowers to everybody. And Mariah was just like, well, you got to tell me what these flowers means because I'm not like everybody. You're giving me my flowers, but you also gave Quad her flowers and Nene her flowers and Heavenly her flowers. So let me be clear that there are different levels to this. So when you give me my flowers, that means something very different. And I thought that was so strategic and so smart to say, no, I don't get the same flowers every other chick gets. There are levels to this. I am the HBIC. That's why some people get awards and some people don't. So I love that. Her power principle number 2 was the power of your brand. And so she knew to protect her brand at all cost. And I'll get into a little bit more of how she did that in the other power principles, but she's also creating the premium content. So basically, her space is for members only. This means it has to cost you something to use her resources. Very, very smart. So it's not just like, oh, anybody can come in and hang out or, walk ins from the street. It's like, no, you need to have a membership to get in. So she knows the power of her brand. She also does not tarnish her brand at all. She will read people for filth, but she never gets down dirty. She really keeps her brand untouchable because if you like Mariah or if you don't like Mariah, that doesn't matter. You really can't say anything negative about her brand. It's very premium. It's very upscale. And clearly she's been able to keep that intact because she's still making content. She's still getting the coins and she still has the connections. Okay. And we'll get into a little bit more of that down below. So number 3 was the power of patience. So she talked about saying less and doing more. So basically she waited until she was ready to launch her new production and event space before going public with it. And I think that's a great piece of advice for pretty much anybody. Don't put your personal and your business moves out there before you're ready to launch and before it's done. Because a lot of people, the reason why their projects don't work out or their goals aren't met is because they speak too soon. They're telling everybody their goals, they're telling everybody their plans, what they're going to do. But you can't put your business out there like that. Number 1, you don't want to attract jealous or negative energy that wants to take you down, And then number 2, say you want to pivot or say you end up doing something different or there's a delay, in construction or the launch, that can cause you to feel insecure or people be like, well, where is it? You've been talking about this, but it's not here and blah, 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 blah. So the power of saying less and doing more. She doesn't really talk about stuff until she's ready to launch or if it's already in the can. Number 4, and this is a little bit different than say less and do more, the power of moving in silence. Okay. So the reason why she was able to win her lawsuit against Bravo and NBC, whereas other people like Nene Leakes were not able to win, a big reason why is that she moved in silence. So this is different from the power of patience. The power of patience is I'm going to move in silence, but I'm going to be patient to not, announce what I'm doing before it's ready. The power of moving in silence is just that you move in silence. And so she wasn't on social media, talking about Andy, talking about the executives, talking about Bravo, talking about NBC. We did not hear a peep from Mariah. I didn't see a tweet. I didn't see a post. I didn't see a hashtag. I didn't see a TikTok. She kept that lawsuit under wraps. And you see what happens when you don't. We had Nene out here blasting people on TikTok, blasting people on Twitter, calling Andy Cohen, saying he was using, nose candy, this, that, and the third, calling her own, calling people racist and saying her team let her down. And because she was doing the most, her team ended up firing her. Her publicist dropped her, her agents dropped her. And so, was it right for her to be blackballed? No. But to be honest with you, a part of why she was blackballed was kind of her, not her own fault, but by her own hand. You see what I'm saying? And so, Mariah, instead, she moved in silence. She didn't speak publicly against anybody or about the lawsuit. And that's why she's still getting Bravo checks. That's why she won the lawsuit. And that's why when you watch Married to Medicine, it still says executive producer Mariah Hawk. It still says created by Mariah Hawk because she knew how to move. You know, you can be in the right, but sometimes you sabotage yourself, you know? So move in silence and then practice power principle number 3, patience. They go hand in hand. Move in silence and then be patient enough to announce once it's done or you're about to launch. Okay. The power principle number 5 is the power of self-financing. So she talked about how she paid for Married to Medicine pilots and for her upcoming project that she's doing, her talk shows that she's talking around. She also self-financed 3 episodes of that because she wants to do a talk show and she wants to get picked up. That's another thing. When you self-finance, you get to own it. You know, you don't have investors or other people that you have to be beholden to or pay back. You bootstrap it, however, go fund it, whatever you want to do, but self-finance it so you own your own content and so you own your own rights. That's how she was able to own Married to Medicine because she paid for the pilots and she pitched it herself. Okay? So power principle number 6 is the power of sophisticated reads. Okay, so she actually read Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly for filth. I mean, for filth. But a lot of it went over people's heads because she didn't go low. And she wasn't like, she didn't call them out of their names and she didn't go low. But a lot of what she said, she actually read them for filth. When they were talking about Dr. Jackie and the controversy she's in right now with her very derogatory words that she said about Black pregnant women, when her whole, target demographic is Black pregnant women, and she's doing this whole campaign about Black pregnant women mortality with the vice president. And as we know, she got caught saying that Black pregnant women basically are over dramatic and faking their pain and faking their symptoms. So, but what Mariah said was, well, I know that Dr. Jackie cares about her work, and I know that Dr. Jackie cares about, being a doctor. Did you notice she never said that I know that Dr. Jackie cares about her patients? You got to really listen to what people say. That was one of the biggest reads you could ever have because a doctor's oath, number 1, is to do no harm to their patients. Their patients should be their number 1. But Dr. Heavenly said it multiple times, or not Dr. Heavenly, Mariah said it multiple times, no. The issue is that Dr. Jackie loves what she does. She never said she loves who she does it for. And then she also brought up how Heavenly, why did Heavenly still have the clip on her YouTube channel if they're supposed to be, quote, best friends? So basically, Dr. Heavenly not necessarily set up Dr. Jackie, but she's not really friends with her. Like if you leave that video footage on your YouTube of her saying that, that's not really a good look either. Okay. Power principle number 7, the power of having your house in order. So this kind of goes back to moving in silence. And this is how she still gets the Bravo checks and the credits. Make sure you always have your paperwork in order. Make sure you always have your contracts signed. Make sure you always just have everything in order, so you can get the checks, you can get your credit, you can keep your position. And she said that if she had to do it again, one thing she would have had more in order was about her being cast so that there wouldn't be a loophole to push her out of the show, which is what they ultimately did. But she talks about, having like the power of having your house in order, knowing what you have to do. So if someone does try to do you dirty the way they did her dirty, you can still get your checks at the end of the day. And then the power principle number 8 is the power of taking the high road. So she never released the Damien cheating receipts she had against Dr. Heavenly, but yet she let the world know that they existed. And she let the world know that Heavenly's marriage isn't what it appears to be. And she also said, and this kind of confirmed a theory I always had. I always said that the reason why Mariah did not leak the Dr. Damien receipts isn't necessarily out of respect for Dr. Heavenly, but I've always thought it was out of respect for Dr. Damien. I think that a lot of people really like him. I think that her husband, Aiden, I think it's either Adrian or Aiden. They're really good friends. She talked about her husband saying, "Don't do it. We're not about that." I think it was always out of respect of the children and out of respect of Dr. Damien. And she pretty much confirmed that. But the reason why I bring that up is she was able to really call people out, read them for filth, spill all of their dirty laundry, but she did it without going under the belt, without getting dirty and without going for filth. And I absolutely loved it. So everyone's like, "Oh, spilling the tea." But the tea for me was she's giving us the blueprint for how you become an executive, for how you be or how you work in this entertainment industry. You know, she got her show sold, not just to Bravo, but also to TLC. They were having a bidding war for her show. She now has her own production space. She's shopping around a talk show. And because she had her house in order, moved in silence, and was patient, she won her lawsuit against NBC and Bravo. I have a gut feeling they settled out of court. I think they probably gave her a lump sum, and then she probably still gets producer and creator checks, and then she clearly still gets the credit. So to me, that was the tea from the two parts, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a lot of people like the TTT, but for me, I was like, yeah, we get it. Oh, also, she confirmed, because remember we were talking about how Dr. Jackie was the real villain, and she confirmed that Dr. Jackie was the real villain. That right there shows in how Dr. Jackie is protected. And we were also talking about what's really going on in Dr. Jackie's like marriage, how her husband is nowhere to be seen. He's MIA, but yet none of the women actually check her for that or ask her questions about that. To me, that just confirms all of our theories. There are certain people who are protected. There are certain people who are behind the scene villains. And then there's the show villain. But I said from day one, Dr. Jackie was cold. She's a little evil to me. And it's showing. What she did to Buffy, how she treated her own Black women patients, how that's all come out. And to me, Dr. Jackie always seemed very cold and very frigid and very mean. Like, I think deep inside of her, she's a very bitter, mean person. And I don't mean that in a nasty, negative way. I genuinely mean that in a sincere way. She seems very, like, miserable. She seems like a miserable person. Like, she's deeply unhappy with herself. And she projects that onto other people. Mariah even said, "Oh, I used to look up to you, Dr. Jackie." And Jackie told her, "Well, that was your mistake." That doesn't sound like a normal, nice person to me, you know? So I loved the two parts, and I love how she came out and told her truth. Now, I was trying to figure out, what is Carlos King going through? It seemed like he was going through something in the interviews. He was saying, "Yeah, I have my own stuff is going on. White is white," or something like that. "People are coming after me." I couldn't find it. So if anybody knows, what is the drama around Carlos King? I actually really like him. I know people have different opinions, but I like him. And I don't like comparing him to Andy Cohen, because it's always like, can't there just be two reality TV executives without the comparisons? But of course we always do. But one thing I like about Carlos that I feel Andy has lost is that, to me, Carlos seems to still be excited and to still be curious about his job and casting and production and producing and creating stories and the ladies. Carlos, to me, still seems to be excited and curious, where I feel that Andy has kind of dulled a bit. I feel like Andy's kind of checked out. He's sort of more involved with, hanging out with, what's his name? He wants to hang out with, like, John Mayer and, like, do their thing. it just seems like Andy Cohen has just completely checked out. He doesn't know what's going on. He's not watching the shows. He doesn't know what social media thinks. And he just seems, time to kind of retire, hang up the hat, do something else, go fishing. I don't know. Where I feel like Carlos King is still hungry and he's still curious. And I think that to be effective in your job as an executive producer, as a boots on the ground producer, you still need to have that curiosity and that hunger and that excitement about what you're doing. And that's true for any job. You don't want to walk into your doctor's office and your doctor looks like glazed over, just pop some edibles and doesn't know what your name is. You're going to be like, I need a new doctor. So I think that's for any profession. Anytime that person is just over it, it's time for them to leave and to get fresh blood in and a new perspective and all of that stuff. So that's kind of how I felt about it, but I loved it. I love the 2-part series. I would love for them to work together on something. And I hope you guys, and let me know if you guys like this type of content where I, take the interview or the episode and I kind of break it down in a different way, yes, about the tea, but also like these are tangible things, insights from Mariah Huq. She is a Black woman who is the executive producer and creator of her own show on Bravo, which is owned by NBC Universal. That is major. That is major. Like, you have to really think about what the hell she did. Who else is doing that? And I'm not talking about Oprah or Kerry Washington, because those are the only 2 other Black women, you know what I mean? Or Shonda Rhimes, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love them. I respect them. They're amazing. No disrespect. But come on, it's always the same 3 or 4. So it's exciting that it's a unknown person was able to do it. That's huge. That's why when Carlos walked in, she checked him and said, what do my flowers mean? Because you give flowers to everybody. And let's be very clear, what Mariah did is far beyond what a Quad or a Nene has done. Mariah created the show. And I'm not being disrespectful, but the show created the other women. Like, that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? She cast them, not Nene, but you know what I'm saying. So what she did was amazing. And even when they tried to take her down, even when they got her kicked off of her own show, she still fought, and she fought in such a way where she's still getting her checks and she's still getting her credit. And she was saying that the battle wasn't on screen. The battle was always off screen, because she was then dealing with executives that thought she wasn't worthy and wasn't deserving to have the position that she had. That's really what she was saying. She said the battle was always off screen. That's why she would call it Married to Mariah, not so much as a dig at the other women, but to remind the other executives who bought her show whose show it actually was. And when you think about it, unfortunately, as a Black woman, or maybe even just as a woman or as a person who, whatever, you do have to fight harder to hold the position that you just have. Nobody ever questions Andy Cohen. Nobody questions Andy Cohen about Watch What Happens Live, a show that he allegedly stole from Nene and from other people, but nobody questioned Andy Cohen. Watch What Happens Live. Nobody questions that. But the executives had an attitude and tried to push Mariah out of the show that she created. There's no difference between Andy Cohen and Mariah. They both are executive producers and creators of shows. There's no difference. But yet people would try to act like Mariah was, such a diva or a problem, when the truth is she's no different than Andy Cohen. What are they? They have the same titles, executive producers and creators. When the gag is, I don't really know if Andy Cohen has created anything. To be perfectly honest, that's the gag. That's the gag. And then she also said, oh, and I forgot to put that in here, and then we'll move on to some more like gossipy stuff, but I just really wanted to give Mariah her flowers. And also, just in case this helps anybody, because me, I'm a content creator and I'm a writer myself, and listening to her gave me a lot of good insights and wisdoms on how I want to move. I was taking notes. These are literally the notes I was taking. I wasn't taking notes about, you know, Toya drinking and Toya this and, Heavenly. Da, da, da. Those weren't the notes I was taking. I was taking the blueprint for the business that if I'm going to create something, this is how you know what I'm saying? So hopefully this will help you guys too if you want to be an entrepreneur or do whatever. This was another thing that she said, and I wish I would have put it in here, but I'll tell you now. She talked about, because when Carlos was being a little shady and he was like, you called yourself married to Mariah, and she goes, yeah. She says, because were they going to tell my story? And she said, if I don't tell my story, who is? And to me, I actually think that is one of the most important things she said. You have to be confident enough to tell your own story, control your own narrative. Because, just like she said, well, if I don't tell my story, who will? They're not going to tell my story. And she was right. None of them would be up there being like, well, no, Mariah's the executive. She created this. She's actually the person who cast me on this show and gave me this opportunity and platform. No. According to those women, Toy was fighting her at the barbecue. Heavenly was jealous and seething with envy. Dr. Jackie couldn't be bothered. None of those women really came to her defense. But yet, the only reason why those women had a platform in the first place was because Mariah created the show, and then Mariah cast them in the show. You don't see them treating Andy Cohen like that. You would think Andy Cohen created their show the way they kiss Andy Cohen's butt. But the true person who created the show and gave them their opportunity, they treat it like trash. They did Mariah so dirty. So dirty. But would you catch any of those women ever disrespecting Andy Cohen like he was the one who created that show? Like he was the one who cast them and got them their come up? So Mariah is 1000% right. You tell your story, you tell your narrative, and whether somebody respects you or not, you keep doing it. Because you would really think it was Andy Cohen's idea for Married to Medicine. You would really think it was Andy Cohen who gave those women a check and a come up and a platform to sell their products and their businesses. The way they treat Andy versus the way they treated Mariah, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So yes, I'm going to get off my soapbox now on that one. But Queen Mariah, flowers to her. I hope her and Carlos do something. I would love to see them collab. If you guys do a collab, call me. I want to help. I want to help. So shout out to Carlos King. Keep doing your thing. I don't know what you're going through that you hinted at in the video, but whatever it is, sending lots of love, peace, and prosperity. Mariah, girl, keep doing your thing. And to my candy canes, I hope this was helpful to you if you're starting a business or you're being an entrepreneur. Take these power principles seriously. Move in silence. Be patient. Protect your brand. Tell your own story. The power of your position. Have your house in order. All your paperwork. Know what you are signing. Know what your contracts say. Know what rights you have. You see what I'm saying? So read them for filth, but don't go all the way down. So those are my 8 power principles from Mariah and Carlos King. So with that, let's move on to our next story. So this is a request from Anna Grape. She said, Roa recast, Candy leaving, Portia and Kenya reportedly staying. What do you want to see on the show? What kind of dynamic for Roa would make more people watch? So this was a Candy Cane question. So if you guys ever have any requests, be sure to drop it in the community tab, comment it, DM me, email me, and I will do videos for you. So here we go. So this is my take on Roa. Let me do this because I don't think you can see. Okay. So when it comes to, let me get my banner up, y'all. Okay. So when it comes to Candy, this is what I think happened with her. I think she was tired of the other women coming after her because they're jealous of, number one, I think they're jealous of her money. Number two, I think they're jealous of her status with the Bravo execs. She's well favored by the executives at NBC and Bravo. She gets spin-off. She's the longest lasting housewife. I think she's the highest paid housewife if it's not Kyle or something like that. But she's definitely top 2 or 3. And I think that the other women, like on these shows, when the shows run a little bit too long with the same people, they run out of storyline. And so they create a personality out of hating the most favored person. Favored could either be fan favorite, favored could be Andy favorite, favored could be the person who actually has money or a husband or a career. By favored, I just mean anybody who's doing well. Think about Elisa Vanderpump. Think about what's her name? Dr. Nicole on Miami. We'll get to that. Just think about any time where these people, and by these people, let's mean certain housewives, don't really have anything going on for themselves. So they create personality and storyline by attacking the most favored person on the show. And I think Kandi was just tired of it because they just kept coming for her, especially Marlo. And again, Marlo, I don't know, she fumbled her peach, in my personal opinion. I think this is what I think happened with Marlo. I think Marlo got her peach at the wrong time in her life. I think they should have gave Marlo a peach, because by the time they gave her a peach, she was in a season of bitterness in her life. And I like Marlo. But what I mean by bitterness is that I think she was struggling with having to change her life. And by bitter, I don't mean that in a mean or negative way. I just mean that in a human way, where I think that she was really having problems transitioning from single Marlo doing her thing to now having to raise her sister's 2 children and completely having to uphaul her life, And that's a very admirable thing. And people like to go after Marlo. She abandoned the kids. Like, cut it out, knock it off. To take 2 children in, even if they are your flesh and blood, even if they are your nephews, that's a huge undertaking. Huge. To completely overhaul your life. That is huge. And I don't knock Marlo for that. She's a human being. She's doing the best she can. She's doing better for those kids than, honestly, a lot of biological parents do for their own children. The boys understandably were having some behavioral problems. Her sister had her own issues. Obviously, the boys were taken away. Like, so what? Marlo didn't always react in the best way. She's doing the best she can. She's raising somebody else's children overnight. Like, y'all leave Marlo alone. But I think that made her, and this is and again, from a human from a human perspective, understandable, probably a little bit bitter, probably also in grief. And by grief, I mean grieving the life she had and the life she thought she was going to have, because her life now looks very different. It's probably very gratifying in certain ways, being able to be that, Monty figure for her nephews. But it's still a loss of one day, the only person I had to worry about was myself and going shopping and dating rich men, to the next day, I got to do homework and dinner and, morning and getting the kids off to school and dealing with 2 boys who are growing and, being there for them financially and mentally and emotionally. That's huge. That's huge. And I think that they should have given her a peach probably like 5 years ago. And I think that's a big reason why her whole storyline felt so flat, because her energy just seemed down. I think, again, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose, but she's probably going through a little bit of depression, because change and transition isn't always easy, especially when your life has now done a 180. I think that Marlo was sad. I think she was happy to be there for her nephews, but at the same time, she was grieving the life she had. And she was probably a little depressed. That's why she was getting so angry. That's why she was having the outbursts. That's why she kept going after Kenya. That's why she kept going after Kandi, and it just seemed very erratic, and she was no longer fun. Anyway, there's that. But I think that when it comes to Kandi, I think she was given the option to walk away on her own terms. But basically, I think they told her, this arc for you might be a little bit of a wrap, but because we really love you and because we rock with you, we will give you the option to walk away, quote, on your own terms. And I think Candy decided to, because again, Candy is a boss, it's a business reputation. I think she said, all right, I will walk away on my own terms. I will announce it. I'll say I'm taking a break. I'm working on other projects. That's what I think happened. When it comes to Portia, I'm tired of Portia. I think she's very violent. I think she's very rude. I think she's less than smart. I personally think she was a flop on Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. She was just a producer plant with Giselle. It was so obvious. And I don't know why they keep doing that on these shows where it's like they have their little favorites and they basically tell them, ask these questions, stir the pot, poke the bear. It was so obvious from jump that Giselle and Portia were the producer plants. Giselle was producer plant number one. Portia was producer plant number two. And to me, that's why Ultimate Girls Trip, they're good and they're fun, but they're also very, very contrived. And that's why sometimes it doesn't work because they're like at the dinner and they're like, well, let's play a game of questions. So here are these questions, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, you just happen to have those questions in your back pocket. Like, stop. I'm done with Portia. I don't know why they're bringing her back. I don't know why she's getting another chance. I don't get it. I think, again, it's poor casting. It's lazy casting. It's like, oh, the ratings aren't good. Let's just go back to the barrel that we tossed. Like, you couldn't find anybody else? I don't know. And I don't like people who are like Portia and they get rewarded for their poor behavior. Anyway, but that's what I think with Portia's going on with Portia. I don't get it. Kenya, I just think Kenya is just doing whatever she has to do to keep that Bravo check and that Real Housewives fame, 15 minutes of fame for as long as she can. I don't think Kenya really cares who's on the show or who's not on the show as long as she is on the show. That's what I think. She doesn't really have a storyline. Her fake boyfriend storyline was flat last season. He was only there to promote his business. That was very obvious. I don't know if she was paying him or if he was paying her, but it didn't seem real or genuine either way. Being the villain of the show, at this point, it's a bit played out because it's the same over and over and over and over again. I think that Kenya shows up. She understands the assignment, but it's almost like an Andy Cohen. She's just going through the motions because I think her priorities have changed. I think she really just wants to be with Brooklyn and do that, but she wants to stay on the show to keep the money coming in and to keep her 15 minutes of fame, but her heart isn't in it and she's just phoning in on the job. And so how I feel about Roa is I won't be watching if it's this. I personally think they should either put the show on pause and reboot it, find new ladies in Atlanta, or pick a different southern city. We don't need Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Sometimes you just need to let things go. But the whole thing of like wanting to bring back old people and this, that, it's just like, stop. The real reboot that they need is with production. It's with the producers, the boots on the ground people. They've either been at their job too long or they haven't been on their job long enough. Because even with Salt Lake City, casting Monica, what the hell was that? Sure, I got a bump in a little bit of ratings because she was so evil and toxic, but come on. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could have got that bump casting amazing people. Like, I feel like the two people that they cast, I think next season's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a throwback to old housewives, how we used to like it. Just wacky rich women having fun. That's really what I want to see. I don't want to see single white female. You know what I'm saying? And I think the real reboot needs to be with the people who are behind the cameras. People who actually can go out into the field and find interesting women. And I think that if they're able to convince these women to be on the show with certain changes and certain differences or whatever the case may be, certain protections, they could get really cool interest. Like there's also that what's that woman on TikTok? Oh, what is her name? She was like, let me know if you saw this. She was married. She is still married to this like super wealthy guy, but then she found out that he was cheating for years on her with some young chick. And so she put him on blast on social media and it was going wild on TikTok. Like, go hire her. She was living like the good life. Her husband was making bank. He was like some big finance guy. And the whole time, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, not that I want dark stuff, but we could have a little bit of salacious stuff and keep it fun, still keep it light and have a little bit of salacious stuff. We don't have to go all the way vanilla. We don't go all the way dark either. So what about that woman? I think she would be fantastic. I think if they did a show around her and her friends and all of that, that would be cool because number one, this woman was beautiful. She was established. She was a real housewife. I mean, her husband was paid. The way she found out about the affair was because their pilot of their private jet let her in on a little secret. And then she went to go look at the black Amex bill and saw whose name and saw the charges, baby. This is real money, okay? Girl. And then she went to TikTok and she spilled all the tea. I was all in this woman's business like I knew her. I was all in her business. That would be super exciting. Like, are the people who are casting, are they doing that? Are they combing TikTok? Are they combing, Instagram or YouTube to meet people who are A, legitimately rich, and B, just messy enough to be talking about your multi-million dollar husband on TikTok? How she was like, I went to the country club with my girlfriends and they told me that they found the picture of the mistress on Instagram and I died. Oh my God. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, that would be perfect casting because this person has already told you, I am willing to tell it all in public on TikTok. And yet I actually have some real cash money, baby. That would be perfect casting. I need to go find that woman's name for real. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, who? It's not so much the talent that is letting us down because they're only on our TV because the people who are responsible of casting them chose to give them a contract and a check. You see what I'm saying? So it's really not even their fault. Of course, if someone's like, hey, you want to be on this TV show? You'd be like, hell yeah. So it's not their fault. It's the people who are behind the camera. They are the ones who are not doing their jobs. Are they combing the right places to find people like this? Like, oh, rich women won't do the show. I'm sure this woman would do the show and she was paid, honey. And she had a whole little clique of her little paid friends. And that, in my mind, I was like, I need to go fly to where this woman is and hang out with her. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what they need to be doing. So for me, I'm not watching this. And it's not personal. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm not invested. And that's the biggest thing with Bravo right now. At least for me personally, I'm going to be transparent with you. I'm kind of burnt out by it because I'm not invested in it the way I used to be invested in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to know what's going on in Portia's life. I hope she's well, but I don't care. I don't care what's going on with Kenya's life. I hope she's well, but I don't care. It's just like it's missing that piece of investment that I used to have. And I think it's because now everything seems to be so staged and pre-produced that it's like I would just rather go watch a scripted show and get invested in these fictional characters because at least they're not lying in my face. At least I know what I'm signing up for. You know what I mean? So there's that. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Roa. I feel like Candy, they gave her a pass and was like, listen, girl, you can leave on your own terms. And she was like, I'm out. I'm tired of these jealous chicks hating on me. But this is the thing. If I was Candy, I would be more worried about little Todd Tucker than I would about these women. Did you guys watch their movie Hall Pass or The Pass? No, the Pass. Girl, if my husband wrote a script called The Pass where in it, the main character is playing a long con on his uber rich wife in order to fraud her out of her millions of dollars. I probably would go straight to my divorce attorney, look over my prenup, and file, because I'm a writer. I write. And I'm going to tell you this. Even if you were writing about something completely science fiction, Avatar, Harry Potter, I don't care what it is. Any type of creativity, even if you're painting something or song lyrics, you put a part of your psyche, a part of your subconscious, a part of you in it. And I'm going to be honest with you, Todd is not that good of a writer. I think he just wrote what he's doing. Go watch the movie The Pass and come back and tell me if that ain't the story of Todd and Candy and how they're about to end up in about 3 years whenever that 10-year prenup comes up. They literally said in the movie it was a 7-year long con. And all of his homies were in on it. Like, hello, Candy. Hello. Hello. Like, he's literally telling you what he's doing to you. He's literally telling you in your face. Because, again, a lot of people who are creative, the first stuff that they do, it's almost autobiographical or autobiography. Autobiographical. It's almost autobiographical, right? And to me, you watch The Pass and come back and let me know what you think. It's literally the story of little Todd Talker and Candy and the Candy Burrs that could, all the way down to Mama Joyce. The character of the lady's mother is basically Mama Joyce. They have the same Mama Joyce wig and everything. I'm telling you. And then watch the finale of Roa, where they do the screening of it, and look at how Todd and his whole group of friends mean mug Mama Joyce when she comes in. They look at her with this look of disgust. And it's kind of the same way that, and for the episodes that I did watch of this season, it is very, very clear to me that Candy and Todd are not happy. I mean, not happy at all. He is proving his little self, his little worth, but yet he's still asking Candy to fund all of his projects. That's why he wanted her to be what? An executive producer. What does the executive producer do? They help to pay. Not all of them, but I'm pretty sure she was, right? So it's just like, and he looks at her with such resentment and disdain. I don't think they're having the wild sex they used to have. It doesn't look like they've been very intimate. He looks at her with disdain and disgust. She looks at him with frustration. And I think that he got his 2 little money bags, his 2 children. And I don't mean that in a disgusting way, because all children are blessings and they're beautiful. So I would never equate the life of a child to money. But if we're looking at it from a strictly logical, strategic standpoint, I don't mean like the value of a child, obviously. You know, they do it to women all the time. Oh, she got the bag because she had a baby, blah, blah, blah. They do it to women all the time. So it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. When the man makes a substantially less amount of money and he gets the woman to have children with him, that's also getting the bag. Because if they do divorce, she sure as hell will be paying him child support. You know, if we do women like that, we're doing the men like that. So it is what it is. And I mean, listen, if I was married to someone and they wrote that script, I would be like, oh, wow, thanks, babe. And the next morning, 7 a.m., hey, divorce attorney, yeah, we need to review that prenup and we need to get the paperwork going stat. Because he basically told you what his plan is. How many years ago did they get married? The clock is starting. That 10-year prenup, watch. Because I'm pretty sure after 10 years, he probably gets a substantially bigger amount. Yeah, little Todd Tucker that could. So that's kind of where I stand with that. But yeah, Roa, I want fresh people. I want fresh faces. I'm tired of it. I want new, because this is another thing. I want new stories. I want new lives. I want new experiences. And I also want other people to have a chance. It's like, Portia, you had a chance to be on national television, and all you did was get up here and fight everybody. And yet you want another chance? Girl, bye. You know, I want other people to have chances, and I want other stories, and I want other experiences, and I want just fresh. That's what Bravo is missing. It's not fresh. It's very stale. Very stale. So let me know what you guys think. Put it down below. Now let's see. What was my next one? Oh, okay. So let's talk about the Real Housewives of Miami. All right. So overall, I'm really liking the season. I really like this cast. I really like the girls. They're a lot of fun. I'm really, really into them. Now, this is the only thing. I believe Miami is now on Bravo when it used to be on Peacock, I think. I think so. And my only problem with that is we're starting to see the work show, as in it's being a little bit more produced than it's been in the past. And what I mean by that is the whole planting of that Anna girl. Because I don't think it's a coincidence in my Nene voice that Andy Cohen at the reunion just so happened to ask the women's, oh, when was the last time you talked to Anna? Or to Anna, whatever the hell her name is, at the reunion. And then all of a sudden, the next season, that now that Miami is back on Bravo, they're trying to force Anna on us through Adriana. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's producers producing. And it seems like something very Bravo would do. Hey, bring back Anna to stir the pot and cause drama and talk about bad stuff and blah, 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 blah. I don't think the show really needed that moment. It just made the show sad. I didn't like watching Dr. Nicole cry and how she felt. And because I think, I have felt the same way Dr. Nicole has felt. It's like, why are you coming at me? Like, why don't you want to be friends? Like, why, like, no matter what I do, you're trying to make it bad when you know it's bad, I think a lot of us can identify with that. I didn't like watching her cry like that and be hurt like that. I didn't like that. And then have Adriana with her snake ass self, that to me was just really slimy and gross. And then it totally turned Alexia and Marcel even darker. Like, we didn't need that. We had enough going on with Miami without the producers trying to force Anna on us. We didn't need that dark energy force. Miami was fine. We were on and popping with Miami. They had genuine storylines, real friendships, divorces, marriages, boyfriends, children, cancer. Like, we had enough. Private jets. We had enough. We had enough with Miami. Bravo, keep your nasty hands off. Because again, the fact that the very fact that Andy Cohen said at the last reunion, when was the last time you guys talked to Anna? And then she happens to pop up in the next season, just when Miami goes from Peacock to Bravo, your slip is showing. Your slip is showing. We didn't need that. You see what I'm saying? But let's get more into it. Okay, so Dr. Nicole, she is the new HBIC for sure. I think she's beautiful. I think she's gorgeous. And I think she is being targeted because of jealousy. I think Adriana is a jealous person, particularly of Alexia. But I do think she was right when she was saying that Alexia has a problem with Dr. Nicole because Dr. Nicole is beautiful. She's smart. She's married to a wealthy man. She owns her homes, like all of that stuff. I do think that Alexia is probably feeling very threatened by Dr. Nicole. I think she kind of looks at her as like, I don't mean like to age shame. I'm just thinking about mentality. That Dr. Nicole is probably like a younger, hotter, richer version of herself. And I can see how that could be threatening to someone. And so I do think Alexia is very threatened by Dr. Nicole because her badgering her about Anna and going on and on and on, and then doubling down on it on Watch What Happens Live made zero sense. She should have just said, I don't like her. That and to me, I would have been like, okay, I respect you, Alexia. But to keep being like, she knew, like, girl, bye, stop. Adriana even said out of her own mouth, Dr. Nicole didn't know it was me. Stop. Girl, stop. Anyway, so Gertie, I'm loving Gertie this season. And I also love that she isn't giving Larsa a pass on anything. She's really keeping her foot on her neck. And that I really love. Lisa needs some therapy ASAP for both herself and her children. And I think she should probably end things with Jody until she's further along in her healing journey, because she's talking about how he's like, you're crying over Lenny and I don't feel like appreciated. I think you need to not try to build a life with someone when you're still entangled in a life with somebody else. It's still too fresh, it's still too messy. It just, I don't know what they're, but let them do them. Jody himself isn't, his hands aren't clean either, allegedly. He was engaged to somebody one day, and then the next day he was, shacking up with Lisa. So who knows with that one? Who knows? But Lisa, you got a lot of growing up to do. You need some therapy, girl. And you also need to sit down and have several seats. The way you were speaking to Kiki was very disrespectful. And then when you stood up like your 75-pound self was going to do something, girl, bye, stop. The way you were behaving on that boat was absolutely unhinged and ridiculous. And poor Kiki was just like, what the hell? Like, stop it, Um, but she needs a lot of help. It's a lot of projecting anger onto the wrong people. I didn't see her turn up to her little bestie Larsa like that when Larsa was the one who was really reading her for filth. Larsa was the one who was really going at her neck, but she was just like, oh, you're mean, Larsa. But yet she was trying to get in Kiki's face and standing up and calling at her and screaming at her. Why are you doing that to Kiki when your little best friend was reading you for filth? Either shut up and sit down or keep the same energy. It was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So she needs to sit down and really chill with that one. She really thought, girl, please. All we needed was a good wind thrust and her butt would have been off the boat. Anyway, so Alexia. So when it comes to Alexia, like, Alexia, girl, you're not happy with Todd. Like, to me, the fantasy is over. I don't know what's going on with Todd. I feel like there might be some truth to some financial difficulty. Either he ran into difficulty, maybe like a bad investment or something went bust, or he wasn't as wealthy as he had presented himself to be. But I feel like something is kind of true with the rumor about his finances and why they had to move so quickly. I don't think it was whatever her excuse was about the lease and they're selling. I don't buy that crap because to be honest with you, usually the renters have more rights than the owners do to have when it comes to stuff like that. So I do think something is happening with his business or finances. Either something went bust or he was presenting wealthier than he actually is and he can no longer keep up the facade. But I think there's definitely something there, and I think that is the crux of their problems, where I think she's like, this isn't what I signed up for. And I think that he's really stressed out because he's not going to be able to keep the facade on for longer. That's why they have to move so quickly. That's why they have to downsize. And to be honest with you, that's probably why they didn't own it in the first place. Because when she talks about it, you can tell that she has a lot of resentment in her voice. She's like, well, because we don't own the house, the apartment or the house, whatever the hell it is. We were renting it and blah, 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 blah. And she even said to him, I went from a house to this. So I think that there is a lot of stress in her marriage and in her household. I think she's very, very stressed out. And I think she's like, this is not the life you promised me. And that's what I really think is going on. And I think that's why he didn't come to her party, because they probably have been fighting a lot. And that's why I don't think he went to the party. I don't think it had anything to do with the other ladies or any other BS excuse they came up with. I think that they had been fighting and it was very much a statement for him not to go. Because he literally was hanging out in the gym in their building. Like, you're hanging out in the gym in your building rather than going to a party that your wife is hosting in your apartment, in your home. You're hanging out at the gym. That's a husband who's pissed at his wife. You see what I'm saying? So I think there's something going on, and I think it boils down to finances. And I think that Alexia, even though she's really stressed, I don't think she would ever let anybody see her sweat, even though to me it looks very obvious. But I think she really cares about appearances. But her and Todd can barely touch. Like when they hug and kiss, it's so forced and fake. Like watch any of their scenes together, and you can tell that the moment the cameras are gone, I don't think they even look at each other. I think it's really bad. I think it's really, really bad. Anyway, that's what I think. Larsa. Yo, Larsa told on herself. She told on herself. Did you guys catch when Lisa and Larsa was in their little spat and Larsa's talking about, well, like you're so lucky because like nobody else would deal with you the way Jody does. And Lisa's like, oh my God, you're so mean. I can't believe you said that. And she's like, no, you're just like a lot. You're really demanding. And then Lisa gets all up in arms. And Larsa's like, no, I didn't mean it like that. Like, at least you have Jody. And she goes, because I don't have anyone. Or something like that. She said, because I don't have anyone. And I was like, boop, 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 boop. My little candy spidey senses went off. And I was like, aha, thank you for confirming what I thought. When she said, I don't have anyone, she meant that. And I thought, okay, so that means you don't have Marcus. So that means this is a fake relation. This is what I think it means. I think number one, I think Larsa and Marcus relationship, it's an understanding PR relationship, fake relationship. Do I think they hang out and smash? Yeah. Do I think that they are actually in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship with each other? No. I think they show up for photo ops. I think they show up for filming. I think they show up for events and engagements and press tours and to film their podcast. But I don't think that behind the scenes, they are in an actual real relationship. I think they both understand what the deal is and they both signed up for it and they're both okay with it. That's why she said, I don't have anyone in a moment of dropping the mask. Because, I don't really like Larsa like that. And she is really mean and nasty, but I do think she really is friends with Lisa. She's not necessarily like a nice friend, but I do think she really does love Lisa. And I think that when her and Lisa were beefing, she kind of forgot herself. She forgot where she was and she told the truth. And she said, no, because I don't have anyone. And this was in reference to, and this is why this matters. This was in direct reference to her saying, no, because Lisa, you have Jody. When the truth is, that's the same exact situation. Both Lisa and Larsa, yes, is legally divorced, but they're both separated from their husbands, no longer with them. And Jody is Lisa's boyfriend, the same way Marcus is Lisa's boyfriend. So it should be analogous. It should be, no, I'm saying you have Jody. If she was in a real relationship with Marcus, she should have said, because the same way I have Marcus. Do you see what I'm saying? But that's not what she said. She said, I don't have anyone. And she meant that. Because again, I think that her and Marcus is strategic. Do I think they have sex? Yeah. Yeah. Do I think they date? Sure. But I don't think it's anything real or deep. And I don't think he has a lot of money. I think his money comes from his parents. And I don't think he gives her any money. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think Marcus really gives her any money, and I don't think he has a lot of money. I think he is a Peter Pan. I think he is a trust fund kid who gets money from mommy and daddy, from daddy Michael Jordan, and I don't think he gives Larsa any money. Because, again, Jody clearly subsidizes Lisa's lifestyle. He was paying half of the rent or mortgage or whatever the hell, he is totally subsidizing Lisa's lifestyle. She's getting money from Jody and she's getting money from Lenny, So Lisa needs to really calm down. Again, girl, you have these two men subsidizing your life. And trust me, that's no shade. I'm like, girl, get it where you can. But also like chill out because you're in a good position, unlike a lot of people in this world. Your problems is, should I get an $8 million condo or a $7 million condo? So shut up, okay? And so the reason why Larsa said, I don't have anyone, is because I don't think Marcus gives her any money. And I don't think that they are in a serious relationship. Because if Marcus was giving her money, and if they were in a serious relationship, she would have been like, no, I meant you have Jody the way I have Marcus. People, when they are in their feelings and caught off guard, always tells the truth. You just have to wait and listen. And again, because I don't think Larsa really even lives in Miami. She lives in Los Angeles with her children, and then she also has residence in New York City. And she has that little filming condo in Miami. Her whole, like, it's all a lie. She doesn't live in Miami. She lives in Los Angeles, down the street from Crystal. Right? Larsa lives where her children live. Okay? Say what you want about her, but she's still a mother. Larsa lives where her children live. She lives in Los Angeles, down the street from Crystal calling Minkoff. She films in Miami for her job. Okay? The same way her and Marcus is a job. That's why they started the little podcast together, And she told on herself. And that's another reason why I think I don't really like her like that. I think because with Larsa, I'm just like, are you really mean, or is there something, or do you have like a tick where you don't get social cues, or you really drink your own Kool-Aid? Like the stuff with like Gertie's cancer and what she says to Lisa and what she says to other people. And even did you guys watch her on The Traitors? Even on The Traitors, I was like, what are you talking about, Larsa? Like, how are you putting one and one together? It's not making two. Like, what? Anyway. And again, another couple's appearance. Marcus and Larsa just so happen to be cast for The Traitors. I think that they are a celebrity PR couple. Not in the way that I think Morgan and Kyle were PR, or Tom Sandoval and this new model girlfriend. Those I think were legitimate, like, contracts. This is what the deal is. Marcus and Larsa, I do think they probably met, maybe smashed here and there. And they're like, oh, you know what? We could probably kind of ride this. We could rock this, Let's see what's up. That's what I think happened. I don't like Larsa that much on the show. I think she's really mean and nasty. And the way she treated Gertie with the cancer and the way she talks to Kiki, it's a pass for me. It's a pass. I don't really need Larsa to personally. Okay. Adriana. All right. Adriana. I loved seeing her going after her singing career and her dreams, because at least it was something different than her personality being, I'm jealous of Alexia. I'm jealous of Alexia. I'm jealous of Alexia. I hate Marisol. I hate Marisol. I hate Marisol. It's like, I get it. You guys used to be friends. You had a falling out. Last year, there was some rumors and a little bit of beef, but we gotta let it go and move on and have a different beat and a different story. I like Adriana sometimes. I think the way she let Dr. Nicole take the rap for the Anna situation was whack as hell. I think the way that she tried to pretend like she wasn't bringing the Alexia and Todd financial issues to national television was whack. You're in the car with Julia talking about Anna's, rumors while you're being filmed and acting like, but don't tell anyone. I'm telling you because I trust you. Don't say anything, but let me say this while I'm being filmed for a national television show. But keep it to yourself, Julia. Like, stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like, just dumb. So, Adriana, girl, you're doing too most. You're doing too most. I had a lot of sympathy for her last season. I felt like she was really going through something and she got a lot of unnecessary punches towards her. But this season, it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is with her. Like, I like her, but I'm also kind of like, I don't know. Just something new. Again, a little bit more of a freshness. Marisol, I love that she's still being shady, but not as messy as last season. She definitely has, I think, some issues going on with her friendship with Alexia. But I'm liking Marisol more this season. I am, because she's not being as messy. She's not bringing any rumors or anything like that. She kind of learned her lesson. So I'm liking her more. I do think that there is something going on between her and Alexia, some sort of beef with her bestie, with her bro. But I think they'll find their way back to each other. Kiki deserved so much better during what happened to her during swim week. Like, Kiki always shows up for everybody. She's loving, she's supportive, she's fun, she's a vibe. But then the women just ditched her. She was, closing out swim week and she had this huge party. And obviously, the party planners, they expect the people from the show to come. That's how they get sponsors and that's how they get people to pay for tickets. Cast of Real Housewives of Miami to the after show, blah, 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 blah. And the fact that they all ditched her was so dirty. And Kiki, girl, boo boo, stop being friends with Larsa. Larsa doesn't like you. She's not your friend. Larsa doesn't like Black women. There, I said it. She doesn't. Look the way she treated Gertie. Look at the way she treats you. She was best friends with Kim Kardashian. Where do you think she learned it from? Okay? Kiki, get it through your head. Larsa doesn't like you. She may have used you when she needed someone to do scenes with, but she doesn't like you. She's not your friend. That's why you're not on the show boo-hooing about how she dropped you like a hot potato the moment her and Lisa became friends again. The moment she started hanging out with Marcus, she dropped you like a hot potato. And the whole when you start dating someone, you lose time. She hasn't lost any time for Lisa. Has she? No, they are still thick as thieves. But she dropped Kiki like a hot potato. Because remember, she only used Kiki because Lisa and Larsa, remember, they were beefing hard last season over the whole you and Lenny have a mortgage and oh no, Larsa's living in an influencer apartment and blah 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 blah. I forgot what started their beef, but Lisa and Larsa used to be close. Then they had a falling out. It was really really